On Donald Trump's first day in office, he pardoned every single person who attacked the Capitol for him and every single person who violently assaulted police officers for him on January 6th. In November, Donald Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, Juan Fernandez, who was convicted of drug trafficking more than 500 tons of cocaine into the United States. The New York Times reported the former president, quote, once boasted that he would stuff the drugs up the gringos' noses. He accepted a $1 million bribe from El Chapo to allow cocaine shipments to pass through Honduras. A man was killed in prison to protect him. Donald Trump set him free. Donald Trump's pardons and commutations of criminals have wiped out more than $1 billion in court-ordered restitutions to victims of those crimes. That includes the $15.5 million David Gentile was ordered to pay back after he was convicted of conspiracy to defraud investors. Donald Trump's pardon of David Gentile is the focus of the first installment of MS Now's new series, Justice Interrupted. MS Now Justice correspondent Ken Dilanian has more.
Shortly after Carol Ann Tutera lost her husband, her investment advisor came to her with what he touted as a great opportunity.
Oh my gosh, I've got all these incredible, amazing, wonderful products that you have to get into. There was going to be a monthly payout. There was going to be a nice return in a couple of years. I got my sister involved and my older mother involved.
A few years later, she discovered it was a scam. She says she and her relatives are out $500,000. But at least the legal system offered a measure of justice. A jury found David Gentile guilty last year of what prosecutors say was a billion-dollar fraud that victimized as many as 17,000 investors. He was sent to prison for 7 years. But then President Trump set him free.
I was shocked.
He was just 12 days into his prison term in December when Trump commuted his sentence. It was part of a series of puzzling clemency decisions by Trump that experts say amounts to the most random and reckless use of that awesome presidential power in American history.
Donald Trump granted clemency to some perpetrators of massive white-collar frauds that have harmed many, many victims, including individuals who've lost a great deal of money.
Liz Oyer was the Justice Department's pardon attorney until she was fired last year, she says, over her refusal to restore gun rights to the actor Mel Gibson after his conviction on domestic violence charges.
The things that the Justice Department traditionally looks for are acceptance of responsibility, remorse, rehabilitation, a significant track record of good conduct in the community before we would recommend someone for consideration of a presidential pardon.
The president has granted pardons or commutations to a long list of corrupt politicians and convicted fraudsters. Also, a Chinese crypto billionaire, a Honduran drug lord, and at least 169 people convicting of assaulting police in the January 6th attack. Experts say few, if any, of these defendants would have received clemency in any other administration. Many of them have been Trump supporters or have hired lawyers with connections to Trump.
That is really unfair to those who are deserving and who are patiently waiting their turn but are being overlooked.
The White House said Gentile had been treated unfairly.
This is another example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration.
But the sentences for Gentile and his partner were announced by Trump's hand-picked U.S. attorney in New York and a top FBI official who the president recently appointed to be deputy FBI director. They said Gentile wove a web of lies and deserved his prison term. Prosecutors said Gentile faked financial statements and misrepresented the source of monthly investor distributions. The payouts came not from profits but from other investors, prosecutors said, and they called it a hallmark of a Ponzi scheme.
I felt like it was another Bernie Madoff deal.
That's what it felt like for you.
It truly did. I'm going to take your money and I'm going to pay out over here and then I'm going to run out of money.
Carol Ann and other victims are trying to recover some of their lost funds. But Trump's commutation means Gentile won't have to pay $15 million in court-ordered restitution. Her sister, Julie Ullman, lost $100,000. That loss was devastating for her retirement plans.
I'll be working a lot longer than I anticipated.
I'm not going to take the vacations I thought I would because now I really have to watch the funds.
If you had President Trump sitting in this chair right now about this, what would you say to him?
What made you think that he was so special to let him off in 2 weeks?
Ken Delanian, MS Now, Scottsdale, Arizona.
David Gentile did not respond to MS Now's request for comment.